to my studio. Today you'll be watching the process of faceted lapis. This is a pretty special piece. It's actually a mirror that I found at like a yard sale, and it was pretty beat up, so I decided to sand it down and give it some new life. Now, if you watched my New Year's video, you know that one of my resolutions was to teach myself to work a little faster, and this piece kind of blew that out of the water. I have been working behind the scenes to try and speed up my technique, but usually working faster for me I end up feeling like the pieces are unfinished or they're just not good enough, so I don't show them. This piece took way longer than I thought it would, just because there was all that like prep and all the other parts that came into putting this piece together that made it take longer than I expected it to. And as you know, I've worked on wood before, but normally when I work on something like a wooden skateboard or really any wooden surface, I sand it down first and then I work on the painting process. But this, I had the illustration ready, and I don't know why I didn't take into account that I would have to sand down the back. But when I was ready to start painting, I had to sand first, and usually that part's already done when I'm ready to start painting, so I felt like it kind of held me back in a weird way. And then working with any wood surface, there's no two that are ever the same, that absorb the same way, so it's about being very careful and applying light washes. With this wood in particular, or maybe it was the color that I was using, it was going on so super dark and drying super light, so I didn't want to put on too much, so I had to be careful. The other thing that made this piece take kind of a long time was just my state of mind and my mood while I was painting it. It's been pretty cold and kind of dreary, because it's Chicago and it's wintertime, and we had a really bad couple of cold spurts where it was like negative 52 and like negative 20 on another week. But I know there's some people who don't think this is real, and I know that there's people who are also affected by it, but I deal with anxiety and depression kind of on a regular basis, and during the winter time, I also have to deal with seasonal affective disorder, which is basically my anxiety and depression times 10 for 6 to 8 months out of the year. Since we're in Chicago, winter tends to last a little bit longer. So yeah, it's just been really hard to stay motivated and stay positive and stay focused. So during these last couple of cold weeks, it was just really hard to get anything done. It was really hard to stay focused and stay positive. I think this past winter has really set in my mind that I probably can't live in Chicago for the rest of my life, just because of how much the cold months affect me. I consider myself a relatively active adult. I really enjoy bike riding and going for walks, and I go to the gym when I can. Probably not as much as I should, but I've learned over time that staying active can actually really help to combat depression and anxiety, for me anyway. And I can do all of that in the summertime and in the springtime and in the fall. But during winter, I also have asthma to deal with, so if I can't breathe, I can't go riding my bike and I can't go running. And there's very little sunlight out, so it's a depressing season for me. I know that I would still have these issues in any other state, but I can only hope that it would improve in some place that's just warmer for longer throughout the year. Just because painting is supposed to be the thing that relaxes me and gives me peace and gives me calm, and while I was painting this, I knew I had to get it finished, and the fact that I like couldn't function was giving me so much anxiety, and even just talking about it right now is giving me anxiety. But I'm glad that I got through it, and I'm glad that winter's over, and I'm glad that spring is around the corner so that I can get back to feeling like myself again. So I'm sure some of you are wondering, why is this girl giving me the feels right now? I'm supposed to be watching art, not getting depressed. Sorry, and I totally understand, but I think it's really important to share these feelings and for other people to share their feelings of depression and anxiety, just because there's this huge stigma around it that, you're not supposed to ever be sad. You're supposed to present this happy form and figure all the time, and if you're not, then it's bad. And I want to be someone who says that's false, and it's okay. It's okay to feel that way as long as you do what you can to bring yourself out of it. But also, it had surprisingly a lot to do with this painting. When I just did the sketch, I really wasn't sure how to apply the colors to the figure. So I actually asked on, I think it was either Instagram or Facebook, what colors to use, and so many people said I should go with blue and gold tones. And when I kind of decided what I wanted her to look like, I knew I wanted her skin to be an unnatural skin color. So I knew her skin was going to be blue once I decided on blue and gold, and everything else kind of fell in place. And then as I continued the painting, I realized how similar she was starting to look to Lapis from Steven Universe. As you guys know, I'm a Steven Universe junkie. And it ended up looking like a Lapis painting, so I just kept it going. But when I think about Lapis, I think about all of the emotional trauma that she's been through, and the fact that she still, even though she had to kind of separate herself from everything for a little while, she came back and was stronger and believed more in herself. And she's just a character who's gone through a lot of difficulty and still comes out strong. And I know that this is a children's cartoon, and I know half of you probably don't even watch it, but seriously, give it a chance. Watch it with an open mind. There is quite a few goofy episodes in there just because it is a children's cartoon, but there's some really insightful commentary on depression and PTSD and just, emotional states of being. I think it's a very colorful way to teach children and adults that accepting those different parts of themselves will actually make them stronger in the end. Now, if you've ever visited my website or seen me at an art show, you know that each of my pieces comes with kind of a little write-up or story to go along with the painting, and it's usually the inspiration behind the piece, but sometimes the little write-up is inspired by the painting. So that's kind of what happened for this one. I wrote, I guess it's not a piece of poetry, it's something. I wrote something to go along with the painting. Since I had a secondary surface to paint on, instead of doing it just a solid color, I wanted to kind of complete the piece and do the little description on the other side as well. I guess my ultimate wish for this piece is that when you look in the mirror, it reminds you that although you're hurting and although you feel like you're not perfect, those are the things that actually make you unique and strong and beautiful. And you don't need to hide them because it's just another part of who you are. Faceted Lapis. In your flaws and imperfections, I see a beauty that can never be duplicated. In your faults and fractures, there is a strength that no scale can measure. The key to your rarity lies not in a pristine facade, but in the reflection of your heart. You need not glimmer as the diamonds do, for you are far more valuable and precious than anything so common. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the making of this piece. I hope the somber tone of this video wasn't too much for you, but it was what I was feeling and I wanted to share it. I would love to hear what you all think of this piece and this kind of video. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!